What the fuck is going on?
What the fuck is going on?
You know, all my life, I've been careful to stay in my own corner. Looking out for number one, no complications. Now suddenly, I'm responsible for the entire fucking world. And everybody and his mother is trying to kill me if my head doesn't blow up first.
Maybe it's not just about you anymore.
Listen. You listen to me. You see that city over there? That's where I'm supposed to be. Not down here with the dogs and the garbage and the fucking last month's newspapers blowing back and forth. I've had it with them. I've had it with you. I've had it with all this. I want room service! I want the club sandwich. I want the cold Mexican beer. I want a $10,000 a night hooker! I want my shirts laundered. Like they do at the Imperial Hotel in Tokyo.
Welcome back to I Bought a Microphone. You just heard a monologue from Johnny Mnemonic from 1995 by the great Keanu Reeves. Yeah, we'll call him great for now. It's a pretty terrible movie all around, but it's one of my favorite movies of all time. And I can't really tell you why exactly. I mean, it's got a pretty interesting cast. It's got Ice-T. It's got Dina Meyer, who you'll recognize from that terrible Birds of Prey TV show, or Starship Troopers, or Dragonheart. Dragonheart. She's in a lot of terrible movies, but she's a pretty decent actress. I really like her. Yeah, and Henry Rollins also in it, and the oh my god, the master himself, Dolph Lundgren, is also in this movie. It's bananas. The reason I introduced this episode with that monologue, which is spectacular. What? Two reasons. One, I love it, obviously. It's one of my I used to when I had dreams of being an actor as a young man, I used to practice that monologue specifically. That was one of my favorites. But also because today we're talking about bad movies. And bad movies that we love. Because let's be honest, people, good movies are good. And they move you, and they change your life, and they raise you up, and they make you feel better, and they make sense of a cruel and chaotic world. On the other hand, bad movies distract you from the horrible things in the world and give you something horrible to focus on. Maybe. Is that why we like them? I don't know if I can explain my love of Johnny Mnemonic to you adequately. Because it's not a good movie, and I know that. Objectively, I see it. That doesn't mean I don't love the part when the stupid dolphin and the stupid dolphin is hacking the CGI thing, and it's all terrible CGI because it's 95, and he's like, loop it. And, oh, God. Loop it through Jones, Ice-T says, without any sense of irony. Here he is, just a ridiculous stereotype character with the dreadlocks and everything. And hand crossbows, little crossbows that you put on your hand that shoot little darts. I gotta admit, it's been a couple of years since I've seen this movie, so I don't remember everything about it. I do love it though, and that monologue especially, because it's just he's trying his fucking hardest, and God bless him, he's Keanu Reeves. He's not blessed with he's no fucking Daniel Day-Lewis. Let's admit that to ourselves, and I don't think anyone denies that. I'm pretty sure Keanu's come to terms with it based on the roles that he takes these days, but he's still so fucking entertaining to watch. And this movie is so crazy. It's got such weird shit. It's got this assassin that's got this. He's got this cybernetic thumb that he pulls off, and it's got a laser on it. Like a laser rope, or like a laser wire. Like, whereas people would, like, strangle you with piano wire, he's got laser wire, and it just cuts you to pieces. I know that's really selling it for you, right? But that's what this is about. This is about bad movies that we love. And what made me think of this was, I was getting drunk the other night. Shocking, I know. But I had a craving to watch a movie for some reason. And I didn't quite understand it at the time, and I've been kind of analyzing it since then. And that was Justice League. And let me, put this right up front. I'm not saying Justice League is a good movie. I wasn't crazy about it when I first saw it. I thought it was okay. It has some parts I liked, some parts I didn't like. But all in all, it was a bit of a mess. It felt like it had two different tones, which of course it did because it had two different directors. One who did all the filming, and then the other guy came through to edit it all together. And yeah, it's just, so I get that. It's kind of wacky. It's got some problems. But I gotta tell you, I've watched it a couple of times since the first time, and I like it. I don't know what to tell you about it. It entertains me. And it's not because it's a good movie. I mean, it helps that it's a comic book movie. That's always, for me, that gives you, 2 stars right off the bat. But, I enjoy it. I like Ezra Miller as Barry Allen, despite his not being blonde. I can look past that, as I've said before. I find him actually pretty entertaining. Big old nerd. Gal Gadot, as always, is mesmerizing. And Affleck, he can fucking still bring it. He's behind the director's chair a lot these days, but I don't know. I like his Batman. It's a kind of a, he definitely embraces the rich parts of Batman. Like fucking Batman drinks in this movie. Super weird, but still, I like his portrayal of it. It's interesting. And again, it's not a great movie. Same thing with another DC movie, Suicide Squad, which a lot of people don't like, and is honestly kind of suffers from the same thing. It's a bit of a mess. It feels like it was edited by committee. Like, there were 5 different people who wanted 5 different movies, and they kind of spliced that shit all together to make a kind of Frankenstein movie that I think is very entertaining, but a lot of people don't like. And that's fine. Nobody has to like the movies that I like, and I don't need anyone to validate my movie choices. I'll watch whatever the fuck I want on my time off. But still, it's a little hard to defend, and it's not like something I would ever recommend to anybody because I don't want them to judge me based on that. Like if I'm going to recommend a movie to somebody, I'll, there's movies that I really like and are also campy fun, like The Avengers, or there's movies that are, just downright fucking awesome, and I think everyone should watch them, like American Beauty or Road to Perdition, Sam Mendes for life, uh, except for Spectre, of course. And I like I like movies, and sometimes I like bad movies, and good movies sometimes they're hard to watch again. You know, like one of my favorite movies of all time, which my buddy Drew and I talk about a lot, is Schindler's List. It's the first movie for me where I was introduced to old Liam Neeson. That was and that started a lifelong, love affair. That dude is probably one of my top five favorite actors. Yeah, the movie. I don't need to tell you about Schindler's List. I know you've seen it. It's amazing, but not something that you're just gonna put on a Saturday afternoon when you're relaxing to fucking chill out and watch some fucking Jews get slaughtered, or not get slaughtered in this case. But I guess the ratio of Jew dying to Jew surviving is higher in this movie than. Alright, let's assume for a second that I never talked about Jews dying, and moving on from there. So yeah, you're not going to just put that on a Saturday afternoon when you're just relaxing. There's all the movies that we love, that we all recognize as terrible, but that doesn't make them bad. They're bad movies, maybe, but that doesn't make them not entertaining, I should say. A couple, off the cuff. Roadhouse, pretty famous, even though I think we can all argue that that's not a great movie. Lethal Weapon 1 and 2, I would put in this category. Lethal Weapon 3 and 4 are only for fans of Lethal Weapon movies. Nobody else will ever appreciate those on any level. But I think Lethal Weapon 1 and 2 are both really good bad movies. And also perfect examples of the 90s action genre, which I so miss. But that's for another day. I will have an action movie rant for you one day soon, I promise you. But there's other bad movies that I really like. I mentioned Blair Witch Project 2 on an earlier podcast, so I won't go any deeper into that. It's a fantastic bad movie. Oh, so much fun. In my high school years, I haven't watched it a lot at all really recently, but I was a big fan of Tank Girl with Lori Petty, also Ice-T. Now that I think about it, and Naomi Watts with an English accent, one of her earlier roles. She had black hair, which was crazy. And Malcolm McDowell also. He's always entertaining. And that guy had a weird prosthetic too, now that I think about it. That's a weird. I don't think one thing has to do with another. I don't think I like both of these movies because they have Ice-T and weird prosthetics, but It's just funny that those two things coincided. He has a cybernetic, not a holographic head at one point. Malcolm McDowell does, which is, God, if you haven't seen Tank Girl, I fucking recommend it. Even, I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's funny, I think, and also it's one of the few movies where Lori Petty is like legit hot. Like, I respect her as an actress, but she's never really been my cup o' tea, so to speak. But in fucking Tank Girl, yeah, absolutely, my cup of tea. And I was talking about Suicide Squad earlier. I kind of got derailed on that, talking about good movies. So dumb. This isn't about good movies. That's not the topic today. But yeah, Suicide Squad. Fucking, what do I like about it? It's hard to explain. Well, Margot Robbie, right off the bat, very entertaining. I've always liked Will Smith, ever since Independence Day, and even before that, I was a Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff fan as a really young boy. Parents just don't understand, yo. Nightmare on My Street, come on. It was some good stuff. But, no, Will Smith as an actor, Independence Day was definitely the movie where I started to care about him, and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I think, is a show that was really, really good. I could probably do an episode on that one of these days, but I probably won't. I love the fourth wall breaking stuff that show did a lot. Like, it obviously didn't invent that or anything, but they did it really well. They would take a moment to step inside, like when the Aunt Viv was replaced by a different Aunt Viv. Like, they did a good joke with that whole deal. So yeah, I've always liked Will Smith, and he's a big part of why I like Suicide Squad. I can watch him, make toast. He's an entertaining actor. He obviously takes control of a scene. I don't think he's ever in a scene where he's not the most important feature of it, which, it's not necessary all the time, but he's an interesting enough of an actor. He's got enough of a on-screen, persona, and his tough guy Deadshot is it's really good. And Captain Boomerang is a laugh a minute. He's a laugh riot. I like that guy. He's a lot of fun. And they do this really, to me, it's hilarious, this thing where everyone in the movie who's a bad guy on the Suicide Squad gets a whole cutaway where they tell their backstory, and they have a little, little thing where they, boom, pop up their picture, and they put some stats down there. Captain Boomerang likes to have sex with pink unicorns, I guess, and Deadshot is proficient with all of these weapons. Even the fucking, I guess, Katana doesn't get one either. But also, a character who doesn't get one is Slipknot, who's played by another one of my favorite actors. Not on the top 5, but definitely one of my favorite actors, Adam Beach, who you may know from Smoke Signals and Wind Talkers, which is another bad movie that I like that nobody else does, and Flags of Our Fathers, which was part of Clint Eastwood's 2 World War II movies, which is interesting if you ever feel like checking that out. He does 2 movies about the Battle of Iwo Jima, One called The Flags of Our Fathers, which is about the American soldiers there. And it feels like a very American movie. And then he also does Letters from Iwo Jima, which is about the Japanese soldiers who all, they all died on Iwo Jima. So there's no Flags of Our Fathers has an after story where they go back to America. Letters from Iwo Jima obviously doesn't have that. It's an interesting juxtaposition. I think Letters from Iwo Jima is definitely the more powerful, more interesting film, but I think they're both worthy of checking out. I guess I should call this episode Tangents. What I should call it. But Adam Beach, who was in Flags of Our Fathers, who was also in Suicide Squad, who was Slipknot, the character that I was talking about earlier, who does not get an introduction, dies almost instantly when they go into the danger zone, when they go into the city from their staging ground. Captain Boomerang, let's make a big for it, bro. You first. And he fucking Slipknot, the man who can climb anything, climbs something, his head explodes, and he's gone. He's gone. And I like Adam Beach. I was kind of excited to see him. I hadn't seen him in a while. And he's literally dead 5 minutes later. God, but it's so, I don't know. I don't think they did enough. Okay. Margot Robbie and Jared Leto, the Harley Quinn Joker thing, they focused on it too much in this movie, but that was a lot of the shit that I liked. I just think it needed its own movie. That was another problem with this movie. They tried to make it a, Harley Quinn origin story movie when that's not really what it should have been about. That is kind of a mess, kind of added to the mess of it. But again, that's some of the shit that I like. I don't know what to tell you. I like Margot Robbie a lot, and I like her Harley Quinn. She had a bit more Jersey than the high squeaky one from the animated show, which a lot of people don't realize that Harley Quinn is not an original character from the comic book. She was invented by the guys who did the Batman animated TV show and then got transported to the comics because she was so popular. So that first interpretation from that 90s TV show, that's where Harley Quinn got her start. But yeah, and I like Jared Leto's weird gangster Joker. I felt that there wasn't, I don't know, it was out of place. It needed its own movie. They needed to do that in the Harley Quinn movie. It was weird to do it in this one. But still, it has moments that I really find cool when Deadshot takes out all of those weird bubble-headed monsters. He's just shooting bullets for like 5 or 6 minutes. He's just shooting, just fucking headshot. It's crazy. I love it. And Diablo, I think he's a really cool character. Interesting change from the comic book character. Definitely more repentant than that guy in the comic book was, which I think is nice. I liked it. I found the whole, and then there's just little scenes here and there, like the one in the bar when they're all kind of sharing a drink at the end of the world. Viola Davis as fucking Amanda Waller. Oh, she is. I could watch a whole movie just about her bossing people around. Like, I don't know. I like that character a lot, and I like what she did with it. So yeah, I fucking like the movie, and I don't know why I need to defend it. It doesn't matter. You don't like it, don't watch it. But I'm just saying. I like bad movies. And I guess I felt it necessary to point that out to some people. Justice League, it's not a great movie, but I like it. Suicide Squad, it's a silly movie, but I like it. Tank Girl, it's ridiculous, but I like it. Blair Witch Project 2. Oh my god, I like it so much. I will never stop liking it. Johnny Mnemonic, who introduced us to this whole episode, who brought us in here. And I'd like to put a note on, like a little asterisk after Johnny Mnemonic. If you've ever played the game Shadowrun and you have not seen Johnny Mnemonic, I fucking highly recommend it. It's fucking Shadowrun up the wazoo, except for the stupid blah 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 synaptic seepage bullshit that doesn't make any sense. But let's not worry about that. For some reason, some movies are bad and they're good at the same time. Like most of the movies I mentioned, I think have good things about them and bad things. But I think the entertainment for me overweighs the bad things. But then there's movies that are bad, and that's why we love them. And that's another episode. And I've spoken about The Room before, and that's one of those so bad it's good movies. I just watched The Disaster Artist again recently, and got me thinking about that. Maybe that's where this all started, just kind of germinating in the back of my head. And that's actually a good movie. But it's about a bad movie that everybody should see. Everybody should watch The Room. It's a story that transcends time and place and race and religion and culture and creed. It's got a lesson for all of us. But there's also another bad movie that I like that I can't help but mention here. And I'll leave it to you guys to take of it what you will, to decide what you do with this information. But I've spoken in the past a little bit about Fantastic Four, and I probably will dedicate more time to Fantastic Four because I am a fan, and those movies are so terrible. So terrible. None more terrible than the 1994/95 version, the Roger Corman Fantastic Four. It's so bad. Like, even if they had polished it up, like it's an unfinished movie. Like Doctor Doom clearly was supposed to have ADR, but they didn't want to spend the money on that. And it looks like a like cheap 70s porno. Like the film is just horrible. Like, and that's probably from it being transferred like a dozen times on a dozen different computers and videotapes and whatnots. But even if you cleaned it up and fixed all those ADRs, it would still be a terrible movie. Oh god, and the special effects. Oh my god, the 3D CGI stuff that they do. Oh my god, it's so fucking it's so bad. It's so bad. Oh god. I love it. I love it. You should watch that movie. You should watch the Roger Corman Fantastic Four movie in the same spirit that you watch The Room. Especially now, like in the 90s, the early 2000s, it's hard to watch something like that because it breaks your spirit because there wasn't any hope for things to change. But now we've got the fucking Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now we've got, DC movies where they're trying to make a cinematic universe. Haltingly, sparingly. Not trying very hard. But they are trying. And we've got, amazing special effects now. And things that would never even be conceivable back then in 1994. Why would you even try to make a Fantastic Four movie for $1 million? That's ridiculous. But they created something special. Something that I think is even more entertaining than the 2005 Fantastic Four movie. Just for its bald-faced, stupidity and just its unwillingness to accept what it is. They wanted that movie to be a success. And there's an interesting documentary called Doomed about the making of that movie. Now, the people who made the movie believed in it perhaps a little bit more than the rest of us did. Like, when I first saw those promotional stills and a copy of Wizard back in the day, I was like, this is gonna be bad. And I'd been through some shitty Marvel movies. I saw the fucking Dolph Lundgren Punisher, which was not great. And I saw the 1990 Captain America. That was really bad. Like, why do you only put him in the costume for 10 minutes of the movie? Like, he's not really Captain America without the costume. He's just kind of Steve Rogers. He's got to at least have the shield. And he fucking... Anyway. That's a bad, bad movie. There are bad, bad movies. Some movies are bad and they're unredeemable. But some movies are Shark Attack 2. Fucking spectacular. I tend to... when I'm thinking about movies, my mind tends to go 1,000 places. Because there's so many dots that connect when you talk about Adam Beach, that leads to all the movies that he did. And when you talk about Keanu Reeves, that goes 1,000 other places. And he was in a movie with Carrie-Anne Moss, who was in this movie that was blah, 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 blah. So all over the place. I started watching the newest season of Jessica Jones. I'm interested in it. It's got me, it's got my interest peaked. And it reminds me of why I like the first season so much. I think Luke Cage and fucking Iron Fist, like both of those shows kind of wore me out on the whole superhero thing. They didn't, superhero TV show thing anyway. They didn't really pay off very much. And then The Punisher, which seems like an easy formula to me. They just fucked up, but that I'll also save for another day. So there's, 3 or 4 topics that I can potentially talk about in the future. Huzzah! It was nice to talk about stupid movies for a while and not about people dying and my feelings and stuff. Keeping it a little light. As always, I love you guys. And take care of each other. And I will talk to you next time.